Hello, comrade. Poker Face finally came back. I know many people have been waiting for a video, and I apologize for that. Not because I forgot, but I was busy with my classes. In this video, I will show you detailed temperature of different components, what you need to prepare before rating a superior AK-39, know how to build it, and my thought about the case. Alright, enough with the Ruski accent. For the CPU, I set the voltage to 1.24 volts and locked it at 3.7 GHz, but with core performance boost enabled, I got around 3.9 GHz in game and 4 GHz in desktop. So, when the system is idle, meaning I don't do anything at all, CPU temperature is around 60 and GPU is around 50. The system stays quiet. However, when the GPU reaches 51 degrees, the fan kicks in, and this is pretty loud, especially when I try watching a 4K YouTube video. And now this is the sound when I tested the system in Far Cry 4. Now for some gaming benchmark. I used the DxStory to record gameplays with lossless codec for the best quality, and this will make the DxStory tank a lot on CPU performance because I lost around 20 FPS for this game, and CSGO is the game that really depends on single core performance. You can see that for a newer map like this one, FPS is just all over the place. Witcher 3 was the test for the GTX 1070. With the graphics set to high, the GPU temperature was average and maxed out at 78 degrees, while the CPU is average around 72 or 73, FPS average around 67, and sometimes drop to only 53 during the cutscene.
The sisters said you would come. They saw you arrive in the water's surface. They did not see the girl. But she is with you, is she not?
I'm here alone.
A lie which will change nothing. First you, then her.
The GPU and CPU temperature are a bit toasty, but what worries me most is my second NVMe drive installed behind the motherboard. It is around 100 degrees without me doing anything. With that out of the way, we'll talk about what you need to prepare before deciding to build a small PC like this. One thing to keep in mind is that ITX components are harder to find and usually more expensive. So, before ordering the case, here are the first two things that you should order. 1. The power supply. Flex power supply is not really hard to buy, but getting the one that is good quality is another story. 4 brands that I can recommend are Silverstone, FSP, Delta, and Enhance. The one I'm using is the Enhance 600W 80 Plus Platinum with custom PCB for modular cables. Enhance is a very well-known brand that provides flex power supply for Aorus external GPU box. I was lucky to snatch this on eBay for just 120 bucks. You can get one like this on Taobao via Superbuy, but it would be a little bit more costly. Number 2. The graphic card. Best cards that can fit in the case like this are the RTX 2070 and the RX 5700 from PowerColor. The RTX 2070 mini cards are nowhere to be found for every brand, except those that are listed on eBay with ridiculous prices. So the best RTX card you can get is the Revision 2 RTX 2060 from Gigabyte, being sold at Newegg for $290. RX 5700 from PowerColor is sold and shipped by Amazon Japan, and we all know that card is more superior thanks to AMD great drivers. Hahaha. Other option we have can be new GTX cards or old GTX cards from previous generation like this GTX 1070 can help us save some money. After we get our hands on the PSU and the GPU, buying a K39 is very easy. It's always available on AliExpress. K39's main advantages over the Velka 3 are price and availability. Now let me show you how to build in this case. If you follow my guide and somehow have a modular power supply, it's very straightforward. In the video, we noticed that there was something dropped inside the case, and it was the power button. And our problem starts from here. The reason that the power button fell out was they did not screw it all the way in. And why didn't they do it? Because if the screws are tightened, the power button will not be pressable. The problem can be solved by using M2 or M2.5 washers to create extra gap. With one washer for each side, the 2 screws are now all in. Next is installing the rubber feet to prevent the case from getting scratched. But I recommend you build this case on a large mousepad to protect our red paint. After that, remove every single screw from the case, every single screws. This 500GB Western Digital Black will replace the Samsung NVMe drive. This drive, along with my 512GB original WD Black, would give me plenty of space for recording. This drive is constantly on sale for 70 bucks, so you can grab one if you like. As we saw the temperature of the Samsung NVMe, so I decided to get an EK M.2 heatsink to keep the drive cool. And that's when I realized this heatsink is not compatible because it's blocked the motherboard frame. So I got this from AliExpress, an M.2 heatsink which is made of copper and graphene. Now the M.2 with heatsink can fit perfectly and I can screw the motherboard onto the frame. In the last video, someone spotted that I did not use the Corsair Dominator Platinum RAMs, even though they were great. With the speed of 3466 MHz CL16, the kit was too tall, so I had to replace it with 16GB of Trident Z RGB. This kit is only 3000 MHz CL15, so we lost a bit of performance. However, I recently got this kit for my main rig, so the used Trident Z RGB can be installed in here, and this would be an upgrade in terms of capacity and performance. And here is the reason why I want to rebuild this. I got this RTX 2070 Mini for only $375, which is a steal for this rare card. And compare this to the GTX 1070, the RTX card has less plastic, which allows hot air to escape. Next, we will install the PCIe riser cable. Now we can install the motherboard tray into the case. We have to do it before installing the GPU, otherwise we won't be able to mount these two screws. If the power supply is modular, plug in all the power cables. Then we can slide the power supply from the back and separate the cables into appropriate size. Slide the power button cable behind the riser card and to the motherboard side. After that, I discovered the power button PCB actually interfere with the RTX 2070 plastic shroud. So I use a nail clipper to clip one part of the PCB. It doesn't look great, but it's fine. Then we plug the PCIe power cable and screw the graphic card on the back panel. After that, install all the screws for the back panel and the power supply. We can now slide the graphic card into the PCIe riser and secure everything with those two screws. Plug all the necessary cables into the motherboard along with the two RAM sticks. I used this slim SATA cable for a 2.5-inch hard drive that I would install in the GPU side. Another drive could be installed on the motherboard side, but it would require us to use a shorter CPU cooler, which could affect the temperature of the system. And the GPU side panel can be safely closed. The final step is installing our glorious magnetic pin with a strong earth magnet. If we do this,
Два магнита будут сосать друг друга.
turn on the system, everything works fine. Thanks to the M.2 heatsink, My NVMe drive never reached above 76 degrees, which is better than 100. Now let's go back to The Witcher 3, same scene, but the FPS is now much higher, with the shroud is more opened. The RTX 2070 is cooler than the GTX 1070 by 8 degrees, average at 71 Celsius.
The sisters said you would come. They saw you arrive in the water's surface. They did not see the girl, but she is with you, is she not?
Yeah, we're both here.
Where is the girl?
Doesn't matter. You'll never get her.
You fall to the bitter end.
I trust this time will be no different. I want you just like this. You fight me, both of you. Acknowledge any gods. Start praying now.
That's all the information about the K39 I could provide, so I hope this video could be useful. One thing I would love to improve is CPU thermal. Even though it is manageable, the fan noise is pretty annoying. My next plan is moving the components into this case, the case-by-case MI6. If you are interested, please consider subscribe to my channel so that you won't miss this one. That's the end of this video, but if you want to see the perfect Witcher boss fight that I just showed, check out the Witcher 3 movie series, which I spent a year to complete. Or you can check out my previous video about the K39. Thank you for watching. Bye bye, comrade.